A warm welcome to all of you to the Virtual International Conference 2022 on Gender Equality Issues and Challenges. The vision behind gender equality is to live in a safe and equal environment and society, have equal access to power, resources, and opportunities to be treated with dignity, respect, and fairness. With this conference, we aim to bring together prominent academicians, police officers, policymakers, corporate sectors, professionals, researchers, and research scholars, and other stakeholders to exchange and share their experiences and research on all aspects of gender equality. The conference aims to provide an interdisciplinary platform for researchers, students, practitioners, and educators to bring and present and discuss the recent innovations, trends, concern, practical challenges encountered and solution adopted in the field of corporate, education, industry, politics, labor, medical, legal, government, and non-government organizations for gender equality. We tried to cover almost all areas of gender equality in our sub-theme of the conference, and we are overwhelmed by the responses from all over the world. We are fortunate to have enthusiastic and wonderful speakers from various countries, notably from India, USA, Ghana, New Zealand, Dubai, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Sierra Leone, West Africa, Portugal, and Liberia. I hope you are going to learn and unlearn many things by the end of this conference. I welcome you all again. Thank you so much.
Thank you to Professor Priya and all her colleagues for hosting us today. Well, I did not prepare any speech because I believe when we speak from the heart, it reaches into the heart. We are all concerned about all the goals of sustainable development, which is made by UN. And one of the best one is the gender equality and women empowerment, youth empowerment, because I believe in education to people who are the builder of the nation. And I am so glad and blessed to be with this high caliber speaker today, which they are making change and challenge in society. Thank you again.
Gender equality, it starts from the childhood, the mid-age, and even at old age as well. When we see the UNICEF website, there they started, as far as India is concerned, they have written that every child deserves to reach her or his full potential, but gender inequality in their lives and in the lives of those who care for them hinder this reality. And this is true, I believe, not only for India but for all over the world. That when the child is born, starting from the birth itself, they have some problem related with the gender inequality. In different parts of the world, different kinds of problems are being faced by all the people, whether it is boy, whether it is girl. But in most of the cases, we have noticed that the women or the girl, they are more affected compared to the boy or male. We do have the third gender, LGBTQ.
Is the number one person, the best person in the world. And anything I do from my side, I always dedicate to Ma's. Ma is known to everywhere, but those who do not know math, it is in English called mothers. Ma, dedicated to mass.
About, the balanced speech, talking that the guest speaker, how to respect the women, and the chief guest was more promising, talking about that, how far women can go. But let us take you through how Sri Lanka and most of the developing countries, though we are signing all the documents in UN as well as being a part of this, all the international the instruments, as well as we are trying to achieve in 2030 the sustainable development, the women protection, and to provide her to take the leadership and so on and so forth. Let us look at that, how Sri Lankan society is. My dear friends, the position of women.
Hi everybody, it's been so amazing to listen to all of you so far. I'm Ashi, I'm from New Zealand, and I will be talking about women's rights that have been greatly overlooked in regards to abortion. So when I was approached with this incredible opportunity by Dr.Priya, I got to thinking about what I wanted to research that I genuinely had an interest in. And during this time, the US Supreme Court was making its decision on the case that would have overturned the precedent set by the case of Roe v. Wade. Meaning the question around whether abortion was a right that women should have or not have was a dominant topic not only in the media but in conversations that I was having daily, and generally just something on my mind as a woman. I think it's also important to note, just before I get into it, that I say women out of ease, but this is extended to all members of the public that have a uterus and the ability to bear children, of course. I do believe that abortion is a right that all women should have. To me, this makes sense. Why should women not get to decide what to do with their own bodies? This got me thinking, how could such a basic thing be taken away from women, as it has been historically, and is about to be in the US in 2022?
Power as men. There are different approaches to understand gender, and the first one is the social constructionist. It is one of the key theories about social interaction creating meaning when we do things and interact with people. The functionalists have divided and worked upon the division of labor between men and women, and they have assumed that the sexual division of labor exists in every culture and is not a result of biological programming, but a logical basis for organizing the society. Then
Okay, so now when we're talking about inequality in the workplace, I would like to mention that one of the data which is here, that says that according to gender wage gap 2014, we're talking about 2014, women make 0.74% to the dollar for every man. We'll slowly come to all these things, we'll discuss. But you know what, I think daily almost 3 to 4 times we'll discuss about gender inequality, we'll discuss about the data what we are having in our hand. We will discuss definitely about how gender inequality is not in place, how females are not there. Now, before going ahead, I would like to ask a question from everybody. How many females
as a statute? So the first important issue which I'm going to discuss is equal remuneration and opportunity. This matter has already been discussed by distinguished speakers from today morning itself. People have been talking about equal opportunities, equal wages and all. But the primary question is, when we refer to Indian legal system or Indian legal regime relating to equal remuneration and employment opportunity, is there any law first of all? Answer is yes, there is a law, and that is Equal Remuneration Act 1976. Is there any constitutional provision? Again, answer is there is a fundamental right mentioned in Article 14, which we call as right to equality. And similarly, at the same time, there is Article 39, Clause D, which, although is a directive principle of the state policy part, has almost been recognized as a fundamental right. And there are any number of Supreme Court judgments on this particular.
Prohibition Redressal Act 2013, which is POSCO, has been enacted, which covers all women irrespective of their age or employment status and protect them against sexual harassment. Beti Padhao, Beti Bachao scheme with the objective of prevention of gender bias sex, selective elimination, ensuring survival and protection of the girl child, ensuring education and participation of the girl child is also implemented. The impact of such the initiatives from the government is reflected in improved lifestyle and economy in India as compared to the past 3 to 4 decades. A step towards equalizing gender bias is attended at state level as well in India at the national level. Some of the scheme initiated by government of Gujarat, where I
NGOs, including the United Way and all that, they have conducted certain research and found that the police women are reluctant to work in a police station which is fully manned by the police women, and they do not only want to deal with the crime against women or dowry cases and all that. It leads to the monotony. They want to have a challenging, and based on that, the Ministry of Home Affairs directive to the all states and the police chief, and based on that, now the more and more women police officers are being considered to be given a challenging assignment. Not that they will be, and they have proven very well. And this talking about the representation, I'll be now coming to the crime against women. So crime against women in India, the IPC crimes and the crime under the Special Act. And if you recall,
is completely unreasonable and seems to take away a married woman's right to say no and not to be the subject of forced sex by her husband, as held in the case of Chaudhary versus State of Bihar. This is a completely unreasonable classification. Next is right to privacy, again guaranteed under Article 21 of the Constitution. Right to privacy is recognized by the Supreme Court in various cases. The contention that allowing marital rape to be declared as crime will violate the privacy of husband and wife is wrong. And in this pretext, the physical privacy, the right to decisional privacy and personal autonomy not be compromised. And lastly, right to have bodily self-determination. Article 21 of the Constitution, as it guarantees right to life, it also includes right to have a life with dignity. And no woman who is experiencing forced sex and is derived to have any legal recourse also can be called as someone having an answer it by saying you cannot dissociate a mindset from a person just because he or she is appointed as a judge. We cannot forget that end of the day, the judicial system, basically the judges who are saying that, they also come from the same mindset. And sometimes, though we are vigilant nowadays of what kind of words we speak, what kind of judgments or what kind of statements we make, but still that hidden mentality, that mindset, you cannot get rid of it just by snapping. You have to understand that the mindset gradually will change, and the mindset is there in the judges as well. The mindset is there on the other side of the bar as well. So these kind of judgments, they definitely reflect the patriarchal mind that we people are still suffering with. And the way we come in open and criticize the judgments, the way we come in open and appreciate the judgment, it definitely influence the decision making power, the decision making people also. So it's a very good thing that we are discussing it. We are talking about the bad judgments, we are talking about the good judgments, and that's the beauty of having the independence and having the fundamental right of freedom of speech and expression. So even I think that it is going to take a lot of time, since because we are with.
Can you imagine the plight of the woman? So can I imagine meeting a friend and asking, oh, so how did you get married? And oh, I met my husband there, I met my husband here. And then this lady who will come back and say, oh, I got raped, so therefore he's my husband today. So can you imagine where we are and where we really need to go? And somewhere the judges are going to play a very important role when it comes.
Are the sufficient amplitudes to encompass all the facets of gender equality? Late Chief Justice J S Verma, Supreme Court of India, Vishaka versus State of Rajasthan. Introduction. Equality of the status and opportunity must be secured for all of the citizens. Equality of every individual under the law is guaranteed by Article 14 of the Constitution, as stated in the preamble of the Indian Constitution. Consequently, a woman has a legal right to a secure workplace. If, in fact, Article 14, 15 and Article 21 of the Indian Constitution contain the constitutional notion of equality and the personal freedom. These articles defend a person's right to life and personal liberty, as well as their right to equal protection under the law and to a life free from all form of
physical abuse, torture, rape, sexual slavery are growing globally, and many of these situations end in the murder of so many women. We still have the female genital mutilation that is performed to millions of children annually, in which a religious and cultural belief mutilates and even kill a child so many times. And such a practice is performed very often by the women of the family. In Portugal, in 2021, were reported 19,846 cases of domestic violence, resulting in 32 deaths. 1,416 complaints of sexual abuse to children. This year alone, 14 women have been killed by their husbands. Unfortunately, this is not a problem unique to Portugal. My country is a country whose people do not have innate tendencies towards violence.
And for example, the distinct systems of personal law in the matters of marriage, divorce, inheritance, succession, the custody and guardianship, adoption, maintenance would lead to matrimonial conflict, resulting in socio-economic imbalances and the gender equality in the present society. So, for example,
Since yesterday I've been attending this conference, and I feel so welcome by the Oriental University and Law Colloquy, especially Ma'am Priya with her calm face, and then with her beautiful smiling face. The title Voices of the Nagaland's LGBT Community. This is a small research which I have actually done after I attended a talk which was organized by our university. So the purpose of this paper is to study the scenario of the LGBT community in Nagaland, Northeast India, and secondly,
CEOs of the big companies, and you are likely to find just one woman. And even at that, it comes with a lot of backlash. We find ourselves in a society or in a country where if a woman makes it to the top, it's either she knows somebody or she's been supported or pushed by somebody in a higher position. But it looks as if women do not have what it takes to work their way through to get to the top. But one thing that society forgets is the fact that women are very versatile, women are very industrious and very, very hardworking. By our nature and by our makeup, I believe that women are so strong that we can face 10 times as much as what men can face and still make it. And that is one thing that society is still yet to come to grips with. And I believe that the day society comes to accept this fact and push women to the top is the day we will start seeing sustainable development as much as we
to empower in some way. And that was my tag word for everything. I think Dr. Maruf would agree. I started a tagline that said, empower to inspire. If you don't empower the mind, if you don't change the mindset, you're not even
I honor all of you. I could not be more excited about an opportunity to speak with this important group because it is about something that is so terribly important. And I want to honor the speaker that came ahead of me because what that individual was talking about is so important, and it is. It's a very passionate time, isn't it? We could lose what's important in terms of gender because there's so many issues in the world today that seem to take precedent. And I'm so pleased that you decided to have a conference like this to make certain that gender is still on the table. It's still in the forefront. We could get lost with the war and the pandemic and financial issues that are facing and the climate change issues that are facing all of us. But if we don't address this, we're missing something very important. So it's indeed an honor to do that. I do have
orientation. There has always been a problem. But when we look at the Indian subcontinent, we should be very proud and privileged community. The reason I'm said like this, India, when you look at the religious concepts which have come up throughout the world, we see that basically most of the religions prohibit homosexuality. They say that whenever you are going to have a sexual orientation was with the identifying yourself for the purpose of procreation only. But when it comes to the culture, Indian subcontinent, time immemorial, we can see that, we can see through Khajuraho temples, we can see all these depictions which were made, very clearly telling that this subcontinent had community which we called as hijras, we called them as eunuchs, we called them as intersex, they called them as transgenders, and we called them and made them part of the society. They were not outside the society as it reflected even in the 21st century, but earlier when we look at the historical perspective of Indian community, we know that LGBTQ were always regarded to be part of the community, and anything good or bad would happen in any of the families in Indian culture, they would be present and part of this celebrations. Either it is bad or a good celebration, they would be part of it. And beyond that, being they part of the community,
we have seen ourselves do that often just to fit in. And I think that's the inequality. When you talk about gender equality, you want to look at the inequalities that we even do for ourselves, the perception of ourselves. So I found that study very interesting. And then also my recommendations and my solutions for that, talking about gender equality, feminine identity, and purpose, is that we have to look inwardly and see what it is that we are doing to make sure that those inequalities are diminished or deleted or no longer there. What are we doing to change the system? What are we doing to build a better system? And so I looked at self-identity, because a lot of times when we talk about inequalities and equality, we have to look inwardly at self-identity, knowing who we are, knowing who we were created to be, knowing why we exist. I also looked at self-purpose, knowing our purpose, where we're not so easily altered by a system or by a group or by, something that they said, or by a political arena or a political affiliation. We're not so easily altered when we know our self-identity and our self-purpose. I also included in the study self-awareness, being aware of ourself and then what is affecting us and what is going on even externally and internally. I think awareness on both ends, on both of the sides of the spectrum and the pendulum,
it's an organizational phenomena or knowledge-based criteria. We are noticing that society as a whole, how it disseminates those needs. What is the priority? What are some of the tactics that they're using to open this priority to everyone? The aim of this research was to study the ratio of moral injury. Moral injury, as we know, is the understanding that the crime and punishment or the war-torn faction or the domestic violent domestication is happening, and we understand that God is present. So we're looking at the cross-sectionalization of our religious aspect. With the crime and punishment, almost like if you would ask yourself, if this is happening, where's God in all of this? And then we're looking at the public ethics of human rights and why gender-based violence and the rights of it are not aligned with our civil.
They're idealistic or realistic. I genuinely believe Indian rape laws have been idealistic. Yet there remains area of improvements which any law over the period of time requires. But with the growth in understanding and the growth in understanding in Indian society, which is continue to being progressive, it is the main part we can focus on is on the implementation of the same, whether it is realistic or not. Many reports suggest that over 71% of rape cases being filed are false. So it leads us to two very important questions: whether it should be punishable or not. Filing a false complaint of such grievous or such nature that it could affect another person's life completely. But the other aspect of the same,
Law Commission also recommended it that there will be time where education and literacy rate in India will, when it will be ready, we can add laws where not just any male to a woman should be compared, that yes, any person with any person. That is our paper suggestion, that wherever it is mentioned that any male to a woman, there we are suggesting that we should add to the statutes to proper drafting through the standing committee, to every research report, through the women state commissions and every research. We found that we are ready, like 2023 2024 can be the year where we can add these words through proper documentations.
Which are anti-LGBTQ and against same-sex couples, they all come under this claim that state knows better. Like we are as a society are not yet ready. It may harm the child. See, in heteronormal families also, children are being harmed. There is not, every house is not a safe haven. Children are being raped by parents. Maternal filicides are happening. Abuse, child abuse, everything is there. So there are families like that in hetero couples families also. So just because the state is not ready to accept a personal a particular concept, or still is veiling all its arguments on the best interest of the child, which doesn't have any solid scientific explanation. There are many countries which over the past few
she's my brother or he's my brother, he might go to jail for life, they might kill him, and it continues on and on and on and on, and we don't have justice for it. I know it's happening all over, but I can attest that in Sierra Leone, it's worse. And a lot of mothers are crying. We had cases of 6-month-old babies being raped, 3-year-old kids being raped. For what? Can't these kids live a normal life? Can't they at least be in a place where they feel like this is my safe space? And I tell people, I did not just open my orphanage because I felt like opening it. No, I really want to make a difference where these kids can always say, oh, when I'm here, I feel okay. I'm just comfortable. I'm not scared. I know I'm going to have a bright future without even having the thought of that somebody's going to rape me, somebody's going to beat me, I'm going to be abused, and nobody's going to appreciate my effort as a woman. So that is why, as a young lady, I'll keep saying it, I'll keep talking about it.
I thank all the presenters and participants for showing their interest in the conference, and I once again thanks everyone for making this program a grand success. With these warm words and a kind message, we move to the end of Memorable International Conference 2022 on Gender Equality, Issues and Challenges. Thank you, all of you.